This crazy situation is called an ant death spiral, a tragic phenomenon that will eventually result in the death of every one of these ants, as they eventually run themselves past the point of exhaustion. The reason this very preventable condition happens is because ants can lay pheromone trails on the ground that others can smell, which is normally hugely advantageous as it lets the ants coordinate large-scale cooperation, much like we humans do with language. But with the ants, if they inadvertently lay a path that closes a circle and feeds back into itself, this disastrous result happens. But here's the thing, and why it's not caught and corrected. Each individual ant thinks they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, the normal thing. It's easy for us humans to look at this from our perspective on high and think, man, that's dumb. All they need to do is change direction at any point in the circle and they won't all die. But that requires two things that the ant colony isn't well equipped for, which is an intelligence capable of higher perspective analysis and a controlling body to guide the group's organization and actions. Imagine then how stupid a species has to be to have these two things, and then to also enter into a death spiral, recognize it with the higher perspective intelligence, and continue running itself in circles until everyone dies. The human death spiral is not because of pheromone trails, but the basic principle is exactly the same. Individuals just keep following along with the pattern, doing the thing they think is normal, the expected thing. In our case, burning fossil fuels. Like the ants, it is also a completely self-reinforcing, vicious cycle. For the last century, we have steadily destroyed and rebuilt our entire colony based on the idea that individuals will do virtually all their travel in cars. This obviously floods the world with cars, which then leads us to build places entirely dependent on cars, which leads to more cars, and around we go. The death spiral has been started and chugging along for a while now. We're currently at the point where some of the ants start dropping dead, but are dutifully dragged off to the side so the movement of the spiral is not impeded. Now, I'm not going to spend tons of time trying to convince the last remaining idiots or oil executives or whatever still trying to muddy the water that this is a real thing and the most serious threat our species currently faces. You're either aware we are in this death spiral or you're a fucking idiot and probably unintentionally the biggest enemy to our species on the planet currently. And I know what everyone is probably thinking at this point. It's the same thing we always think. It's what am I supposed to do about it? This is way too big a problem for me to solve. Or occasionally, I mean, I've heard about this whole global warming thing and I don't care. I've got bills to pay and my kids need to be at school on Monday. I need to drive to things, blah, blah, blah. And when people say that, they're not quite realizing this is the exact mentality of the ant. I can't think about the bigger picture. I have shit to do today. I'm busy. That's exactly what the ant thinks too. At some point, we need a lot of ants to break the cycle and change the path. And thankfully, we already have the tools needed to do this. Nope, not that. There it is. These fantastic vehicles are the most efficient electric vehicles on the planet. Thankfully, they're already outselling electric cars 2-1, and that's with virtually no infrastructure dedicated to them. Imagine if we actually started rebuilding our colony the same way we did for the car. Starting now, right this second, we need the people that are supposed to be guiding the ant circle on higher levels of organization to break the vicious cycle of building and development that leads to building car-dependent places, redirecting the death spiral. Instead of building for cars, we need to be building for micromobility everywhere, now, and at scale. That means lots of bike lanes and sidewalks and car-free paths. And we need to be doing it everywhere, yet very little is being done anywhere. So if your question is, what can I do as an individual to break the death spiral? The answers are this. Reduce your car usage. Adopt micromobility if you can. And yes, I know that's not currently possible for everyone. I said if you can. And then do everything you can to get your local governments to be aware of the problem, how serious this death spiral is, and how they need to break the circle now. You may have to get a little bit radical about this. So, good luck.